What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. As always, I hope y'all are having a fantastic day, boys and girls. It is Wednesday, and we're back at it again. So, what's good with y'all? What is good with y'all? What's happening? What's been going on? Let me make sure we are live. We are, in fact, live. Cool. Man, there's a lot going on, in the crypto space in general. It looks like recently another, good old scam was launched. Good old Libra from Argentina. And, wow, what a crazy little time that's been for anyone who's going on over here as well. There's just been a lot going on right now, man. I put a poll in the chat, and to anyone who's joining right now, you're welcome to go click it as well. I got a poll going on. Do y'all still believe that alt season happened or still happens? Are we still expecting alt season to really kick off? Was this kind of the bear trap? Do you believe that the bull run is over? You know, what's done is done. If you've made money, you've made money. And if you haven't, then it is what it is. Or are you just here to hold the tokens? Either way, click on the poll. I would love to know your thoughts on all this as well. I'm going to check the poll in just a little bit. We'll come back around to that in just a moment. So, we're just going to have some fun doing some stream today, kicking it off, looking at some different charts, seeing what's really happening kind of around the crypto world right now. You know what I mean? It seems like there's a lot going on, and at the same time, there's nothing going on, right? And it just seems like there's all these things popping off like crazy. But man, I was listening. I was talking to a buddy the other day, and what was crazy, we were just having a conversation. And this is a friend who partakes in some of the meme coin worlds, and I don't just mean on Pulse Chain. I do in fact mean meme coins in general, right? And as we're talking to each other, he's sitting there explaining to me, and he says, dude, I was 15 minutes late to a token, right? And you're like sitting there looking at him and listening to him, and you said like 15 minutes late to a token. What do you mean? And so he was upset because he's been doing pretty damn good on some of these coins that have launched, especially on Solana and on Radium and all that good stuff. And, he's literally like, I could have made this and, probably made a 10x to a 50x within the span of that 15-minute window, which sounds absolutely absurd to me, especially seeing that I'm a person who's been more so inclined to buy the token and hold the token, right? I want to get close and take profits along the way. I express this to y'all all the time through the 5 Ps of proper preparation, preventing poor performance. And it's something that has kind of been ingrained. It's the reason why that I found Hex and that I loved it as much as I did. Was I found the ability to think long term and stop thinking what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes, what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes, what's going to happen in the next hour. Like I got rid of that mindset completely, and it was a weight lifted off my shoulder. And so I'm sitting there talking to him, and I'm like, he's a person who's gone and created several different bots. He's lost tens of thousands of dollars, but he's also made tens of thousands of dollars. So is it a wash? I don't know. But it's enough to keep him going. That's for dang sure. And I'm sitting there and just listening to him talk. And again, it's just all the narratives of the hype and everything like that. He was able to hop on the whole jail stool when it kicked off early. He was able to hop on Trump when it kicked off early. He was able to hop on these tokens that did very, very, very well. And then you look at all these other tokens, such as the Libra, for example. He started partaking in some of that. And you just see him like listening to like, we no longer think long term, guys. That's what it seems like we do have the TikTok brain happening right now, where you literally have to have something happen constantly. It just has to be a constant movement of everything, and sitting still, dude, it's super boring, right? Like, have y'all seen the charts lately? This shit is boring. You know what I mean? Like, let's just take a little peeky weeky over here, over at like the Bitcoin chart, because that's kind of like where everyone's looking at this point in time, right? You look over here at the Bitcoin chart, for example, and you see this kind of like dude, we've gone sideways for quite some time. You're just kind of playing in this little way in this world where we've gone from this 90K range up to the 110K range, down to the 90K range, up to the 110K range. And we're just bouncing all within this range at this point in time. And again, dude, this will absolutely get people bored. Especially whenever you start seeing other tokens, right? You can literally go to Deck Screener right now and just see the amount of tokens that are all coming up right now, right? Like if we just go over here and you can just literally see all of these tokens getting launched constantly every single second, every single day. In fact, Miles Dusher, I don't know how to say his last name, guys. I apologize. He made a post the other day basically showing that there were over, oh man, where'd it go? Oh my goodness, did I get rid of it? Oh, okay, well I just basically showed you all the stuff I'm going to talk about today. But anyways, funny stuff over there, dude. What a crazy freaking time. Now I have to kind of find it. 1 second. He basically said that there was over 600,000 tokens launched in January alone. And to me, like, you hear that number and you're like, there's no freaking way. Yeah, it was right here. There was this post. And you sit here and you say, January just set a record for the most amount of tokens created in a single month with 600,000 new token launches. And what's even crazier, guys, is this number's even bigger, right? Like 600,000's on the low side. And let's be absolutely real. This does not include all of the tokens that are constantly being out and being launched all the time, right? And I believe we're well over the 1 million to 2 to even 5 million tokens being launched in a month. And especially when you compare it to the average of like 500 tokens, 50,000 tokens that were created in like 2017 and 2021, right? You look at some of these things, right? It's got people wondering, like, is this the reason we aren't getting traditional alt season? Is it macroeconomics, right? You look at this chart right here, but this is an absolute insane amount of tokens being launched, guys. That is absolutely insanity, folks. But it also seems like at this point in time, we are playing in this little world where are we bouncing back and forth? Do we actually have it to where we could be looking to make a massive, massive amount of money as well? And are we kind of falling into this world right here where it kind of is a bear trap, right? Like if you just want to kind of say it like that. Is it a bear trap right now? Are we playing in this world where, you're looking at all the charts and we're here in this little bear trap world right now where people are just kind of in the sideways action? Things go absolutely boring for forever. It just seems like you stay here in this sideways action for what feels like so long, especially being that 2025 is supposed to be that bull run hype cycle. Right now, this is when you get caught up in the bear trap, because then you end up, whether it be exiting your positions or you end up going and chasing all the new shiny tokens that are launching. And then the thing just starts ripping off to just, melt new faces at this point in time, or melt your faces at this point in time. This has happened time and time and time again. In fact, you can often see, when you start looking at some of these things right here, this is like when you sell, right? You've seen some of this before, but when you sell, the token pumps. When you hold, the token goes sideways. And then when you buy, the token dips, right? We laugh at this kind of stuff as well, but this is absolutely how the market kind of feels. But guys, the market is shaping up right now to, in fact, be very freaking bullish. We were like right on the cusp of that bullish narrative right now. And with the most recent, FTX exchange, giving back billions of dollars. I think they just released like $16 billion on their first payout right now to get started on how that could end up looking. It could, in fact, be that beginning of the indicator that we're seeing, right? Ethereum is kind of pulling this little game right now where it essentially wants to make a very bullish move. Now, oftentimes, this is a very bullish pattern. When you see a triple bottom setup, this is kind of what we end up getting right now with Ethereum, right? You can see, this is on a 2-week chart, but you can see as you pull up this particular chart, you got the first, you got the first little item right here, the second bottom right here, the third bottom right here. And then typically, because it's a bottom like that, it ends up being a very bullish item. And in fact, you can actually just see it just looking at the actual chart itself, right? Let's just pull up the 2-week chart. You can see it on the actual chart, kind of how it actually is looking right now. we are still playing in this, bearish parallel channel. We've been playing in this bearish parallel channel really since the beginning of December, right? That was kind of like when we made that most recent top. Ethereum was hitting that $4,000. It seemed like alt season was finally beginning. And then, we got that next little pullback. So we had the first bottom right here, second bottom, and then third bottom. So that's that triple bottom scenario that we're looking at. And that tends to be actually pretty darn bullish when you actually see the overall charts. Now, is this going to be the kicker that we finally need to actually get launching? Ethereum has been slightly beginning to outperform Bitcoin. Again, it's not by much, but when we compare it against Bitcoin, this is what we're actually seeing. We have a no alt season and a alt season. And essentially, as long as Ethereum is staying below this 0.29 range right here for the ETH BTC ratio, well, we don't tend to get an alt season, guys. That's not like the best little indicator to say like we're going to the moon. But we finally are flipping a little bit green. Again, I'm not fully bullish until we start not only getting above the 2-week EMA. Okay, let me just break this down on the 1 week real fast. But on the 8-week EMA over here, right? Until we actually start breaking above that, that's kind of where I would start getting a little bit more bullish, but I definitely need to start breaking back up into this zone over here, the 0.04. That's when things really tend to start kicking off. And if you really want to get bullish, you break above the 55-week EMA right here, and my goodness, we're off to the races at that point in time, and that's when suckers are just absolutely flying. But this is kind of where it's leading people to believe that we are essentially in this scenario that, is kind of like this little bear trap mindset. Things are going sideways for a little while. We aren't really doing much. Things are just kind of happening. So what's really going to be the kicker right now? What's really going to be the cause of the actual market to take off? And there's just a lot going on right now, guys. As I'm just looking, again, we are moving toward a bullish direction. We aren't flipping bullish just yet right now, but there are definitely some bullish items that are shaping up to be. So let's just kind of pull up a couple of things real fast. This is coming from the Bitcoin news, Bitcoin.com news. And this is actually coming inside the Patreon group as well. So appreciate y'all sharing this with me. But it seems like the SEC crypto crackdown is dead, right? According to John Stark, he's an ex-SEC enforcement chief. He just said the agency is set to drop its Ripple appeal and halt all crypto cases. Now, that is absolutely huge, not just for our ecosystem, for what we got going on in the Richard Heart Pulse Chain ecosystem and Hex ecosystem, but of course for all of crypto in general, right? And this is where you start looking like, hey, SEC's legal retreat against Coinbase and Binance. Typically, this is when you start seeing these top lawyers getting reassigned, right? Internal shakeouts. And now Stark's saying the crypto enforcement is over, guys. It looks like we have Paul Atkins looking to get confirmed and possibly step into office come March or somewhere in that time frame right now. There's not like a set time that's like he's coming in at this point in time, but my goodness, dude, that would be absolutely incredible. And this led me to question, right? Like this led me to question what's really going to happen if and when all the crypto SEC BS stops. And I think that would be the catalyst needed to be the altcoin season. Again, there are several different things that can happen, whether it be money printers start turning back on. For example, I was seeing a post the other day talking about, a possibility of a $5,000 reimbursement check from, the Dogecoin or Doge department. Not Dogecoin, the Doge department right here. So let's just say $5,000 stimulus. Let's just kind of see what that pulls up real quick. But basically, a $5,000 check could absolutely, be that little indicator. Because if you remember, people were getting a buttload of money during the COVID time, right? But if every American's going to receive a potential $5,000, well, that could be pretty damn good, right? And so this is just one of the benefits of the Doge department right now, right? They're looking to possibly, go audit Fort Knox, which hasn't been audited in like 70 plus years. to even see if we have the gold reserves, which honestly, I don't think we do. Especially being that no one ever has audited in like 70 plus years the way the government has done with our the money and monetary supply. I just don't think they've been financially and fiscally responsible. So if they end up getting that done, I would be curious to see how that ends up going. But then you also look at just other stuff happening as well, right? Elon Musk was posting the other day talking about someone's 300 plus years old, right? Like, like who the heck is earning that kind of stuff? SSI, Elon Musk. Let me just kind of see. There was a little info thing that he ended up posting, and it basically said like the people are still earning the Social Security at this point in time. And the people were like freaking 200 years old, 300 years old. And like, there was someone older than the US has been around. There's two people that's been that are older receiving Social Security than the US has even been formed, right? And so like, you just see this kind of stuff and you're like, that seems kind of odd. But I think it was this post right here. Oh, this doesn't even give me the full post. Let me see if I can find the full post that he ended up doing it. Oh, come on, give me the full thread. Well, I guess I got to go to his page. But you hear this kind of stuff and you're like, what in the actual F right now, guys? Like, that just doesn't make logical sense, right? Like, you should not have someone earning Social Security that's over 300 years old. Like, look at this, guys. Does this seem right to you at all? Right? You got like the SS Social Security over here, right? We got 0 to 9. 38 million people, 30, I'll say 39, 10 to 19, 44 million, right? And you get into this like normal age range. Someone living to 100 and they're a centennial. Dude, congratulations, man. You've lived a life and you've probably seen some crazy shit in that time. And then you're like, okay, cool. So that's still 4 million people over here. And then you start looking down below and you're like 110, 120, 130 years old. 170 years old, and you're looking down here and you're like, bro, this doesn't make any sense. We're talking about millions of people right now, right? You got 3, 6, 9, 12, we're up to 16 million people right here, and probably some more. And you're like looking at this and you're like, bro, 360 years old? What? That doesn't make any sense, guys. It doesn't. And so, like, you see this kind of stuff, and anyways, I got completely distracted right there. But this is what I was talking about, where it's like they are going through and they are making changes right now. They're going through and they are saving capitals wherever they can. And Trump's been in office literally for 30 days now, 1 month at this point in time. 1 month, right? He got in office January 20th, really got inaugurated, actually started doing stuff right away, of course, absolutely at that point in time. But he's been in office for 1 month, guys. The dollar is starting to lose value, which is absolutely good for the overall investment landscape, not just crypto in general, but really just the investment landscape, right? Risk on type investment. So the dollar was beginning to lose a little bit of value. You can see starting on January 13th or really going into January 20th, the dollar started losing quite a bit of value right away, especially with the launch of tariffs and other things that started really happening with executive orders. It's still regaining, but hey, guys, one thing I love seeing is on this chart, a high right here, a higher low right here, or should I say a lower high? My bad. Another lower high down here, and if we can just continue this lower high trend, well, that is good too, especially when you get a low right here, a lower low right here, and lower low right here. These are good things to actually continue toward that downside. And this is when typically things can really go freaking crazy for investment type plays, especially in crypto, right? If you start getting into the crypto landscape of all this as well, that's when things can really start getting pretty damn bullish. BTC over DXY. Yeah, so we really want to start seeing quite a bit of stuff over here as well. One thing I was paying attention to, hey, it's getting talked about a little bit more often than not right now, is the others versus Bitcoin chart as well. I'm seeing a few people, kind of bring it up right now, so I might as well just kind of share it as well. At this point in time, it is looking like we really want to start outpacing, because again, you can see when we do get into altcoin season, it's right over here. It's around this time when the actual others starts outperforming Bitcoin. And you can really see this sucker kicked off all the way from January all the way up until about May, where it kind of went sideways for a little while and then kind of finished off the year in January. This is very darn bullish, and this is a pattern that a lot of people are waiting to see right now in the crypto landscape, especially in any of the cryptos out there right now. As a matter of fact, you can go back to 2017 and you can just kind of see what that kind of looked like back here as well. When we actually were in 2017, how did the others compare versus Bitcoin, right? Well, you can see right away is it was sideways really for the beginning of the year up until about the end of February, early March. And that's when things really started kicking off like crazy, where we had that first rally leading us into March, a little bit of a pullback, and that second rally leading us into the June timeframe, where again, it's still going to end up around the end of the year. Pretty darn bullish, especially all the way over here, really January once again of 2018, right? And so what this is showing is we have still played in this zone previously in the past, where we do go sideways and we do go in this little area for a little while. And then as we end up getting into the overall market right now, we can actually end up seeing when we actually end up getting up over to where we currently are, we could actually end up playing in the same sideways market once again, play here in this little range, really up until I would say March, end of February, early March. And then we really start kind of kicking that off again, leading us all the way back up here where altcoins just really start taking off like crazy. I've been sharing this ETH Bitcoin chart for a while. This is something that I definitely have been believing. I do want to see us all within this range and in this zone, and really to see what's going to end up happening with the overall crypto game, guys. This is something that is absolutely happening. We do have, some key resistance levels that we got to start breaking, especially in Ethereum, right? It's been every time Bitcoin has hit $100,000, Ethereum's been lower than it was previously to Bitcoin last hitting $100,000. So hopefully this time, should Bitcoin really start rallying once again, bringing us up into that 100K range once again, ideally we can really start getting ETH above the 2,700 would be the first number. But if we can be even higher than that, 2,800, 2,900, that's that first sign in reversal that ETH is finally going to start hopefully leading the altcoin rally, getting us to that $5,000 range. And at this point, we were caught in that little potentially, bull trap at this point in time, right? And I don't want anyone to get caught up in that. Let me see if I can insert the image on this. It's been a while since I've actually tried something like this, so give me 1 second while I check something out. Here we go. Previous 7 days. No, it wasn't there. And it was this chart here. All right, cool. And let's see if we can just kind of line some of this up right here, right? And go all the way over here. Sorry guys, I guess I could have gone through and tried to adjust this slightly before the stream started. That would have been the better play, but the idea just came to me right now. So, we are dealing with it. We're going to go a little bit lower transparency. And should I put you into the back? Okay. So basically this is what I'm looking at right here. It's that exact same chart that we were just talking about moments ago, right? Are we falling into this pattern right now where this is essentially that final potential bear trap where we're actually still progressing on a higher trend right now, where things are looking to possibly sell off? Again, this is Ethereum for the chart right now, but this is where you start seeing the ability for this chart to actually really start potentially, playing out, doing things a little bit different. You can just kind of see it laid out on the chart right here. And could this really be that little area where we end up getting that final move, that final shakeout, and then really just altcoins begin soaring? And that's kind of what I believe is going to be the case, as a matter of fact, right? Just looking at how this has been, how this market has gone, I do believe the market is going to go slightly longer this time around than it did in previous cycles. And that's for a couple different reasons. One, the whole macroeconomics right now, it really seems like the market just really wants to just either, have a little bit more certainty, a little bit more clarity as to what's going on. And really the only way to get more clarity at this point in time is, in fact, to actually get more clarity, right? So like we need to see Are we going to cut rates at all? That's something that needs to happen or doesn't need to happen. But the uncertainty of it not happening or maybe happening is leading the market to a bit of a unstable predicament. The sentiment in the market right now is trash, guys. Like the overall sentiment in crypto and especially in altcoins right now, it's trash, man. Like, you know, people have lost the vision of seeing. They're just like, dude, this is like when you get into that gambling mentality. Give me back to break even and I'll just be happy. This is what you're hearing right now, right? Like, give me back to my break even point and I'm just going to exit and be done. And then you get in, hopefully, back to that break even point and you're like, oh, this is finally happening. And then the dip happens again because the market, every single time we've had a pump, it seems to be followed quickly by a dump. And so when you start getting into this, like, yes, this is finally the rally that we're looking for. Let's go. And then it dumps and you're like, well, shit, I wish I would have just taken profit. I wish I would have exited my position. I wish. And it just continues over and over and over and over. And so it's just so funny right now what's going on, right? In my personal opinion, whenever I look at some of this stuff, it is pretty damn crazy. So I did a poll earlier today, and so far, you know, keeping it as easy as possible right now. It does seem like the overall, you know, people are holding this right now. So let me actually do this real quick. Give me 1 second. And how can I hide you? I want you hidden. Interesting. All right. Maybe I can't necessarily pull up the chat that way. Let me see if I can pull up the chat a different way and do something with that. Pop out chat. Yep. Okay, there we go. We got the chat popped out real quick. Don't need to worry about the sample part. And yeah. Can I minimize? Okay, that changes out the whole freaking window everywhere over here to the right. All right, cool. Anyways, I'm gonna share this screen. I don't think I've ever popped this out before. So let me figure out how to do that real quick. We're going to do a web browser source here. We are going to here we go. Browser source. Yes. We're gonna do a new one. Call this chat window. Add. And no, that was not what I was looking for. Remove. Yep. Okay. Well, I'm not going to draw a blank on that, but I'll just kind of pull this one up over here in front of the screen. I know I wanted to try to do this a little bit different as well, just to, you know, make it a little bit easier to see overall, but I ended up, I'll just do it over here since the screen's already sharing the whole screen. So basically I did I did a poll earlier in the chat and I said, hey guys, what do y'all believe, right? Do you think the altcoin season is still happening? Is the bull run over and there's not going to be any alt season, or are we holding either way? And so it looks like roughly about 40% of the people still believe alt season is going to happen, which is incredible to hear. You have the other roughly about 36%, 40% over here saying that, hey, I'm going to hold either way, right? And this is those people who do typically have long-term vision in these items over here. And then you have a few people who are saying Bitcoin bull run, or the bull run is over and there's not going to be any alt season. And this is kind of the sentiment right now, right here, guys. This is where people, you see this like uncertainty. This is if I was to pull up the, you know, alt season index right now, it's probably going to end up being around the 50% mark. If you look at the overall fear and greed index, it's probably around this 40-50% mark. And so, you know, this is out of, you know, 33 votes. Don't get me wrong, just kind of get a gauge on, you know, how that is right there. But I'm going to end the poll right here. This is kind of where people are, you know, leading to believe, like, I don't really know what else to think, right? And this is what You see a lot of people like Solana just recently took a big old dump, especially after the whole Libra nonsense that went down, right? If you look at the Libra token, I mean, that sucker ended up losing too much at this point in time. Just checking that particular token out right there. That's not the one. Maybe that is the one. That's not the one. I know it's not the one. So, am I tripping? I'm on the weekly. Libra did just launch, which I understand, but I thought it would look more, at least a little bit better on the actual chart. It wasn't rugged instantly, was it? I don't think it was rugged instantly. Anyways, guys, this is what this caused a lot of people to just get absolutely pissed off, especially at the Solana market, right? You started getting a lot of people just upset in general. These are people who have been playing in this game. These are people who have been playing in a whole bunch of worlds. But yeah, I mean, what I'm seeing right here, couple things, right? What I want to start seeing is this Ethereum price get us away from this trend. Right now, we're playing within this 8-day 8-day moving average line right now. We really want to start breaking above that first, get us next into that 55 moving average line up here, really start actually getting into a bullish formation at that point in time. But ideally, Ethereum needs to just break out of this $3,000 range. This has been a line of suppression for quite some time. It did hold it as a level of support for a period. It did retest this level as this level of support. And now at this point, it looks like we need to go back and actually push through, because once it fell through that support, it is going to be resistance. So we need to start breaking that $3,000 line for Ethereum to really start being a lot more bullish overall. And this is when you start seeing just kind of like the overall crypto landscape right now. It does seem like we are starting to heat up right now, just a little bit, guys. It is just a little bit. Looking at the overall heat map right now, again, looking at the weekly, it looks pretty damn sad. There's a bunch of red down here. Even looking at the monthly, again, pretty damn brutal over the last month. And this is kind of what's led a lot of people to believe this whole sentiment. But guys, on the daily, it's looking pretty damn good. Am I right? It's looking like we are wanting to start pushing forward toward that right direction right now, especially if I pull up the crypto bubbles for the ecosystem of Pulse Chain right now, right? This is something that has been brutal, right? We not too long ago, we were all green, especially on the whole month. Pulse has finally fell below on the monthly, right? We finally broke through. Hex on Pulse Chain finally broke through the plus side on the positive side. And this is leading a lot of people to be like, dude, this is like the worst bull market that I've ever participated in. This is something that I don't even have fun in. Even on the daily right now, we're just kind of playing in this world. And that's why I believe that if we actually end up getting something like the SEC crackdown right here, where they actually do, in fact, dismiss all the cases that are currently open, my gosh, I could see the crypto market soaring at that point. And this is where I believe, what are y'all's thoughts on this, right? Do you think Judge Carroll is waiting to hear what they're going to say from the SEC? Do you believe that we are kind of being a little bit naive on that one if we end up going that route? Or do you think that she's going to make a decision either way for the motion to dismiss? That's kind of where I'm kind of leaning toward. I'm more leaning toward the fact that, now she's waiting at this point in time to see what's really going to end up happening. Let me find out if I can see when Paul Atkins is supposed to be confirmed, because I think that's going to help kind of give a little bit more clarity. Paul Atkins confirmation. Well, I didn't type that in at all. Paul Atkins opines, here we go, says both sides will inevitably appeal. Ripple has a very strong case. So that was old. That was old as well. How do I look up something new? Crypto needs this man. Why Paul Atkins confirmation as SEC chair is taking so long. Well, why is it taking so long? What do you have to say, Cryptopolian? See if we can just share this as well. What is the reason why the case is taking so long? This confirmation is key to ending the SEC lawsuits, heavy crypto crackdown, and starting Trump's pro-crypto policies. Paul Atkins, Trump's pick for SEC chair, is stuck in Senate limbo, and the crypto community wants answers now, right? What's the holdup? We wonder. It turns out, a logjam of confirmation hearings. The Senate has 9 cabinet members in line ahead of Atkins. I think everyone that has been put in place so far has been confirmed, right? I think the ones that a lot of people were concerned about, like Tulsi Gabbard, got confirmed. Robert Kennedy got confirmed, right? I think Kash Patel got confirmed, right? Yeah, I don't think there's been anyone so far that I've at least heard of at this point that has been denied, right? We had basically everyone come in who was going to be as the person appointed get appointed, no matter the Senate hearing and vote. And so it's now just a matter of like, can't we just speed this price up? Now, Hester Pierce is leading the SEC's crypto reset amid delays, right? Which is, she's known as crypto mom in the community, because that's, she's basically very pro crypto in this world right here. So she's now in charge of the newly formed crypto task force, or she's at least the person in charge at this point in time. And they're on a repair to do damage done under, Gary Gensler's leadership. So basically, at this point in time, does it say any sort of idea of how long it might take? President Trump's lead to SEC's pick has investors hoping for fewer rules, fewer headaches, and a wave of new stock market debuts. I will say, dude, this has gotten to be a ridiculous world of wild, wild west. It's always been almost a player versus player ecosystem in crypto, right? It's, basically I'm going to sell, I'm going to buy now so that way I can sell on someone later. That's the way it's always kind of been. And that's just how crypto works in general. That's any investment, as a matter of fact. I can buy my house right now so I can sell it to another person later for more money. I can buy stocks right now and I want to sell it for more money on different people. Crypto and investment has always kind of been that way. But nowadays, when, like I said, my friends over here talking about I just missed it by a couple of minutes, that is just mind-blowing to hear that kind of stuff, right? And it seems like this is kind of what's going on with the lack of regulation, unfortunately. And I don't want it to be like, we need definitely rules and all this good stuff. But dude, like the cabal, whatever you want to call them, they're just making millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, launching, sniping, playing different celebrities right now. Who is the most recent one that just launched? Adam 33 just launched one. You got Dave Portnoy that just launched one. You have so many, obviously you got Hawk Tua and all the other people, right? Haley Welch. You have so many people who are just kind of figures and just, I got paid to tweet about something. And it's not the same when it comes to like financial money at this point in time. I think Crypto Coffee did not Crypto Coffee, my apology. Oh my goodness. Drawing a blank right now. CoffeeZilla, dude, I was like literally drawing a blank on that name. Did a great job and a great video kind of like explaining a sentiment that is kind of needed to a certain degree, right? This is why you see things like casinos had the rules and regulations, because they were basically raking in all the people for all of their money and there were no rules to actually stop it. With the most recent statement from like David Sachs talking about, which is like the crypto czar, talking about meme coins are just like investments for, or he didn't say investments. They're basically just like icons to be a part of something at that point in time. You were just there to be at that point in time. You were just a part of it. And because of that, like Trump has his own coin and Melania had her coin and all these different tokens launched and they're all trash. But it just seems like this is the way people are going right now. And it's happening even on Pulse Chain now, right? With the most recent launch of Pump.Tires. I went through on my Patreon stream the other day, probably about 15 to 20 different tokens that have been launched, and they're all garbage, man. There was an article a long time ago that basically said 99.6% of people who participated in Pump.Fun lost money or couldn't even profit $10,000. 99.6% of people couldn't even make profit of $10,000. That's terrible, y'all. That is freaking awful. And it was even fewer than that who actually were able to make money, right? And this is kind of what's going on right now. So there's been a lot of stuff happening at this point, right? It's just a matter of like, we're right on the cusp of something that could just absolutely change your life at this point in time. I do believe alt season does still in fact exist right now, especially when you start looking at, you know, all of these different items over here, like I just talked about moments ago, right? Like as everyone's feeling the market right now, this is kind of where you're at. This is that bear trap feeling right now, where it just feels like this is trash. This is the things where you start second guessing every decision that you've ever possibly made in life. What led me to this point in time? But this is when you start seeing things really start taking off. This is where the market tends to lull people to sleep. In fact, if you just look at previous seasons for crypto, this is where so many times everyone and anyone who was in crypto during this time was like, altcoins are dead. This is it. This is 2017. This is that sentiment right in that 2016, 2017 era where it's just like, dude, this is trash. Altcoins are trash, man. Like crypto is done, you know, like it's trash. And then February of 2017 hits, and then the freaking thing has the first crazy rally. This is once again bringing the market to that like, holy shit, there is still excitement. The others versus Bitcoin chart pump like crazy. This is when you get into the alt season 2, where once again, it ends up topping around January of the year following the bull market year. Meaning if we're in a bull market year based on that 4-year cycle, you know, 2017, 2021, 2025, it's most likely going to end up being a top around January of 2026. And we are just 2 months into February of 2025. We're only 2 months into freaking 2025. But this is the feeling that I see right now, and the sentiment that you feel, and just like the community and just like the Twitter. And so if you got to disengage from some of this stuff, guys, disengage, delete Twitter. I don't know what it's going to take for you to do it, because sometimes this can lead you to making an emotional decision, or it ends up causing you to feel like you need to chase the shiny new objects because maybe your token that you're holding hasn't done anything in quite some time, and you're seeing all these other tokens launch, and you're like, why would I hold on to these tokens that aren't doing anything whenever I can go chase the shiny new object? And dude, if you make the money, like I said, my friend who does it has made tens of thousands, has lost tens of thousands, right? So if he's up, I don't really know for sure, but it's a game that he plays, and I'm sure eventually they get rinsed, but he just hops right back in. I was listening to a podcast the other day. I'll come back to this chart here in a second, but I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was absolutely wild, right? The person they were discussing it with had zero clue about crypto in general. They had been in crypto since 2017. And I was like, how can you be in crypto from that long and still not know anything about crypto? Right. And it just like blew my mind. And I don't know if it's just because whenever I find something that I enjoy, I just want to start learning all I can about it. But this is when you start getting into items over here. I just want to make sure, you know, the wife didn't text or anything like that. This is when you start getting into items over here where you're sitting there and you're like, and what I mean by this friend had this particular person I was listening to on the podcast, I had no idea. He would only buy tokens that his friends suggested he buy. That's it. That's all his investment strategy was. If his friend said to buy, he would buy. That's it. Sometimes he made money. Sometimes he lost money. Sometimes he got rug pulled. One time he lost $50,000 because he clicked a phishing link. And, you know, he still just continues trucking along. He thinks in his head, his friends are going to share with him the diamond in the rough, and it's going to make him extremely wealthy because there are a plethora of tokens out there, obviously. There are now well over 100 million tokens that have been launched in the crypto universe. So he thinks that his friends are going to be the ones to put him on to something that's going to make him a bunch of freaking money. He's looking for only the 100x to 1000x plays. He doesn't even care about looking for like a 2x, 5x. He doesn't want that. And again, I understand a 2x and 5x in crypto is laughable, but a lot of the times if you're coming in with big capital, if you're coming in with $50,000, you 5x that capital, you're doing a lot better than most people would, especially in the amount of time it took you to possibly 5x that money. even in investment in general, right? You can't just flip a house a year later for 5x more money. Like, sure, maybe the 1 in a million person gets that, but it doesn't happen very often. And so whenever I'm looking here, no, it's not in the paid crypto trading view site. Yeah, thanks, Alan Fizme. I just read the message over here. You literally, I'll pull it up real fast, just kind of show you how to end up pulling it up as well. But if you ever want to like look up a particular chart, something versus something, like for example, if I want to do total 2 versus Bitcoin, I just do the divided by, and then I do BTC, and this gives me total 2 versus Bitcoin chart. And so I can see how is the overall market, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, performing against Bitcoin right here. If I wanted to do others, I can come in here and type in others BTC, and it gives me this chart right here where you can actually get the others BTC chart. So you can actually, you know, start maybe charting some of this yourself and see how this has actually played out in the past as well. This is what I was talking about. You know, when we go back over here and just look at the 1 week, let me just put this on the 1 week real fast. If you go back over here and look at the 1 week in 2017, this is what I was pulling up on that, you know, image moments ago, where it was kind of sideways for a little while, and then roughly around the end of February, early March, it just popped off like crazy. And a lot of crypto did very well during that time. And this is again comparing it against Bitcoin. So this means Bitcoin can still be doing very well, but it just means the rest of the crypto market is performing better than Bitcoin. Meaning if you hold anything other than Bitcoin, most likely you're actually winning, because the others chart is the top 250 tokens, excluding the top 10, to keep it simple, right? So like it's the top 260 technically, but you just minus the top 10, so top 250, right, excluding the top 10. But this is how the others chart ends up looking right here, and you can see how the chart has, you know, kind of played out as well in the past, and also kind of in 2021, where we ended up getting the rally pretty early on, right? This is actually a pretty early rally into it. Now we just don't have a lot of history and data with bull runs because there's only been really the last 2 cycles for the others versus Bitcoin, right? Because Ethereum was launched in 2015, and there hasn't been just too much information around this time. So we've got the past 2 cycles to kind of tell us what's going on overall. But this is when you start looking at, you know, these kind of charts and these little items over here for these images. You know, everyone's saying alt season dead, alt season dead, alt season dead, alt season dead. And then all of a sudden the thing just pops off like crazy. Alt season dead, the thing pops off like crazy. Now we're entering that time frame where we're kind of in that, you know, February, March time frame where things could really just be popping off like crazy pretty darn soon. So we just have to end up seeing if we end up going that way. Alan Fizme says there's a better chart. Cool. And again, he's just kind of like pulling it up as well. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's the others BTC. Yeah, you just basically did what I did there. So yeah, I just kind of pulled it up as well. To anyone who, you know, wants to go check it out, you're welcome to as well. Let's just kind of read what's going on in the chat, man. Like what's happening? How are y'all doing? How are y'all feeling right now, right? Like what's good in the hood? What is happening in your life? Maybe crypto isn't the craziest thing popping off right now, but maybe you just recently got engaged, and if you did, congratulations. Or maybe you just got a puppy, or maybe you just had a baby, or whatever the case may be, man. There's so much more to life than just what's going to happen on the charts in the next 5 minutes, day, month, week, or even year. I think this year still has some incredible things in store. I think the sentiment right now is absolute trash. And so if you feel that you do get affected mentally by these items, or emotionally, or anything like that that could cause you to do something you may regret later, sometimes it's best just to delete the apps that are causing it, right? Or shut it down. And it is tough, especially when you get into the habit. This is going to be a habit that you are wanting, that you're going to want to break, is checking your portfolio. When the charts go up, it is incredible to watch the portfolio go through the roof. Especially in recent times. Maybe some people have just recently been seeing a 2-3x in their portfolio, and they're like, oh my gosh, I can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. Man, I had $10,000 and it's $30,000 right now, and man, it's feeling great right now, and this is freaking awesome. And then you see a 50-60% pullback, and you're like, dude, I'm back at 15K again. I started at 10, dude. Like, what in the actual F, bro? What is happening? And this is when oftentimes you start seeing other tokens outperform your token. And this is when you get into that FOMO feeling. And you say, well, I can shave off some of my core tokens to get into this new token right here. And once you get into that new token, God forbid you actually do well on it. This is like one of the worst things that can happen, in my personal opinion, because it almost kind of reiterates the belief that you can just do something and not have any repercussions. So it's good if it happens to you. Congratulations. A lot of people are like, yeah, I'll just go out, get a 3x on my capital, put it back in the core tokens. That's what I'll do. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. You go out, and to some, it does. Sure. Okay. I'll admit some people do that. So most of the time, you take your core tokens, you split it into these other altcoins. One of them does well, and you say, that was so freaking easy. My token's still going sideways and being a boring baby right now. What if I just continue to do this? And you do this again. And if you're fortunate and lucky enough, you hit again and you win again. This is like, again, this is one of the worst things that can happen to you, because you almost believe that you are unstoppable. And unfortunately, this is oftentimes where you say, I'm going to go in so much heavier. Why would I only do it with 1 or 2% of my portfolio when I can do it with 10 or 15 or even 20% of my portfolio? Imagine the gains I can make if I just do it with more money. I've already done well. Why wouldn't I just continue to do well doing what I do? And oftentimes when that happens, guys, it's when you end up getting wrecked. That's whenever the token does something like Libra, for example, and Rug. That's when you get into a token that you thought you were early in, but you were actually late in, and it gets rugged. That's and unfortunately, it's what happens. It's the worst thing ever. And sometimes learning that lesson is beneficial if you can take it as a learning lesson, but oftentimes you end up just holding on to the token, and then you're bag holding, and then you get into this chase betting world, and then you start being like, now I got to take on leverage to make up the money that I lost, because now it wasn't just 1 or 2% of my portfolio, it was 20% of my portfolio, and now I have to go make that capital back up because now I have rent due, or whatever the case may be, man. Like, you got so much shit that starts happening. It's bad. It's bad. Drugs are bad. Trading's bad. Okay. And to the people who do it successfully, congratulations. If you live in places where there aren't really taxes or any implications like that, like Dubai, cool, have fun. But there are plenty of places where just trading, selling, and buying a token, oftentimes you are taxed. That's a taxable event at that point in time in most cases, in most jurisdictions. So unless you're able to make up that difference in the tax as well, oftentimes it doesn't make too much sense to do it, right? Like if you buy and you sell a token, for example, and you buy it back on a 30% dip and it pumps back up to what it was, but your taxable event was 30% of that initial capital in the first place, did you really end up making money? Or was it better off just holding the token and just letting it play out and doing what it does? Hey, not financial advice. You do what you do at the end of the day. But what's going on, everybody? I got to go through the chat real quick. Oh, man, it is Wednesday, my dudes. Let me hit you with it.
It is Wednesday. 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 My dudes. Wednesday. Wednesday, my dudes.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. Just a matter of if. Just a matter of when, not if. Like that. For sure. HODL for sure. Believer cycle. Dude, unless you were broke and need money, then good luck on day trading. Yeah, dude. All right. Hit the like for sure. God damn, it's nice to hear that voice. What's good? Mo digging it, man. What's good with you, my boy? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a great day. Guys, it's a crazy time to be in the crypto cycle, especially if you were looking in this on the day-to-day situation. I know, like, my Twitter profile or my Twitter section in general, for the most part, is all crypto related stuff. And so I actually have a separate profile that I didn't do any post on, that I just have an account with, that I don't make any post on. I don't like anything. I just want to see what's going on out there in the world. so I don't even get any of the Twitter or crypto stuff and the nonsense and the sentiment, because sometimes I just gotta check the F out, man. Like, I was going through and I was like, dude, Richard Hart is posting like crazy right now, which is cool. But it just ended up being that same thing, which I was like, calm the F down, Richard. Like, just so many different things where it's like, I don't know, code switching, whatever you want to call it, where, you know, it seems like, guys, we should focus on this. Guys, we should focus on this. Hey, guys, you should pay attention to this. Hey, guys, go over here and do that. And I'm like, look, bro, I'm just going to not pay attention to it one way or another. And it's so much easier, right? And you start seeing things like, oh, I look forward to Director of Cash Patel. Oh, I see this happening. Oh, the real Donald Trump. Oh, you know, what's going on with Ethereum, guys? Hey, guys, pay attention to this. Hey, there's this happening with Elon. Guys, this is, you know, I'm like, bro, hey, if that man would just stream again, that would be incredible. I don't know if and when we get the SEC case dropped, he just begins to stream. I think that would be pretty damn cool. PLS will have a good run in 2029. Shit, Ryan, my gosh, 2029. Fuck, that's some time, bro. But hey, if you're looking at, you know, the overall people, and I've pulled this chart up before, but if you look at the overall people who are holding like Genesis Ethereum tokens, for example, then I think there's only 2 or 3% of people who still hold ETH Genesis, right? Which is super freaking low, y'all. That is a insanely low amount of people holding Genesis Ethereum ETH. Again, there were 72 million ETH distributed, and at the time there were still 2 million tokens holding on to ETH Genesis inside the wallets. So clearly, I mean, it's going on its third cycle technically now, right? Because 2015 it was launched, and then you got 17 was the first real bull run. 2021 was the second bull run, and then now it's on the third bull run right now. And so if you're looking at it from that perspective, like, I mean, it's almost been 10 years, right, since launch at that point in time. I think it was around July or something like that of 2015, somewhere in that ballpark. But this is where you end up seeing things like 10 years later, there's only 2% of people holding on to Genesis ETH Ethereum, which is pretty damn low, right? Like, that's not that many people. And so if you're one of the fortunate people who can not only potentially take profit on the way up this bull run, which I think there's still plenty ahead, guys, don't get me wrong, and then also be able to still hold on to some of the core tokens 4 years from now, 6 years from now, 8 years from now, and you're one of the 2-3% of people who are still holding on to hundreds of millions, if not billions of tokens at that point in time, congratulations, right? You've crushed it, in my opinion, because it's going to be very few and far between who actually do this particular cycle at the top. Whenever that top comes around, could be January of 2026, somewhere in that ballpark, maybe November. So I don't know when it's going to happen, but when the top happens, there's going to be a lot of people who just exit. Even when we see a 2x or a 5x or a 10x, if we just get back up to SAC, for example, a lot of people are going to exit. Remember what I told you? Just get me back to break even and I'll exit. That's what a lot of people are somewhat waiting for. I don't want to say a lot, but people are waiting for that right now, right? And people are going to take advantage, and they're not advantage. They're going to go ahead and sell and just take the opportunity to just exit the position and say, hey, I invested $10,000. I got back $10,000. I'm cool. It is what it is. I'm out. That was a shit ride. That was a terrible time. I had a awful time during the time, you know, all of it. And then you end up looking at it from the perspective of the other people who are like, I've waited this long. What's another freaking year? What's another 8 months? What's another 10 months? I look at it from the marathon perspective, right? I've said this so many times, guys. You got 26 months after the actual launch of Pulse Chain to really start seeing that capital come. I've always said it's a marathon, not a sprint. And right now we are in month 20. Okay, so like we still got a few more months remaining before I even get into that whole we've reached the marathon endpoint right now. But be ready, because when the time comes, a 2x, 5x, 10x, 100x isn't that far fetched. Even Richard Hart made a video, and I thought it was a pretty fascinating video. So I'll share it with y'all as well. But it basically had to deal with market cap, and like kind of what's recently happened with Hex. So let me share this real quick, and I'll be right back.
So as Hex is staked and the demand is static or increasing, the price will go up and the market cap will go down if the sites that are listing it measure it properly, because the circulating supply is going down and market cap is circulating supply times price. And so what does this mean to a person that's not staked or to a person that is staked? What does it mean to a speculator that invested economic energy into Hex? It means that the price is going up a lot, but the market cap is going down. And that's counterintuitive. That is totally counterintuitive. When the Bitcoin price goes up, the Bitcoin market cap goes up. When the Bitcoin price goes down, the Bitcoin market cap goes down. But in Hex, when people lock up their coins, and that is what caused the price to go up, then the market cap will go down, which gives you more room to grow, because then you don't have to kick other people out of the top 10 market cap so quickly. And then you could just keep building appreciations and mad gains without hitting the market cap that hard, right? And then it gives you just more room to reach. It's really neat.
So fun little item over here, because if you actually look at the overall market cap right now on Hex on a chart like Deck Screener, for example. By the way, the hourly chart looking pretty damn good. Hey guys, let's get into the hourly chart. Woohoo! We're seeing some action over here on the hourly. Anyway, I got distracted overall, but let me just pull up the actual sidebar over here. What you can see is the actual market cap has actually gone down significantly, right? So you actually have on Hex on Pulse Chain sitting at 385 million market cap right now, whereas eHex right now is sitting on 29.9 million market cap, because that is dealing with the overall circulating supply times the current price. And so I think this is a pretty fascinating type deal right here, and this is kind of what he was talking about, where this market cap, if you want to talk about we can't reach certain prices because the market cap is XYZ or whatever the case may be, this is what it is. And so it's pretty cool just kind of being like, guys, we still have a lot of different tricks in the book. Apparently Richard Hart still has many different tricks in the book, so it is what it is. Should have been in yes or no easy decision. She is holding for the SEC law changes, and it's the only thing that makes sense. It has to be, right? Like, what other item could it actually be at this point in time? Like, I don't see another reason as to why we are still in fact waiting at this point in time for something to happen. I hate money, keep prices low. Lol. Chivalry is dead, altcoins are not. Lol. Hard to sleep with this many knives in my back. Yeah, dude, I feel you. There's a lot of snakes in the ecosystem, especially in our ecosystem. Unfortunately, there's a lot of whales who got a lot of fucking money, and they've been suppressing the price from all the tokens. And recently the ink inflation actually went down once again for the third time now, and so now it's 0.04 ink per second, and it seems like that number is going to keep going down. I've already said it, but I believe it's probably going to end up kind of reaching the 0.01 ink per second range, before it actually maybe even stops. That could be a floor, that might not be a floor, but that'd be a 99% ink decrease from what was being distributed back in the day. Yeah, so we actually shared that already for the others BTC chart for sure, and that will be 1 million eHex. Thank you. Bad comparison. We barely had 1,000 coins in 2017. I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, the overall amount of tokens that are out there right now are literally just, it's stupid, guys. It is, we're into the hundreds of millions of tokens. Like, we have to be at this point in time. There's no other way around it. Like, even in 2017, I think there was maybe 1,000 tokens, like he's talking about, and then you end up getting into 2021, and there was 50,000, maybe somewhere in that ballpark, and then you end up getting into 2025, and there's over 100 million. And you're like, what? That's stupid. That's crazy. Altcoins make gains, yeah, and you definitely go chop the bag up for sure. He's not streaming with Interpol. yeah, maybe not. Not in the cards. Okay. So you're saying that even if the case gets dropped, that even if the SEC case gets dropped, that we probably won't even get a stream at that point in time too, which may be the case, right? Absolutely, it could very well be the case. Hey, I'm late to the show. but I'm bullish and happy AF where we are and where we're headed. Yeah, for sure. Love that clip from RH. Yeah, dude, me too. What's good, SoFlo? How you doing, my guy? What up, brother? What's going on? What's going on? Westcott is, in fact, still around, Guido. He is, in fact, still around. You know, and again, like, it sometimes takes us, we talked about this so many times and we laugh about it, but it's like, if y'all want us to, like, pretend, or, pretend, to sell our bags and you want us out of the ecosystem, if that's what it's going to take to get a pump, then maybe that's just going to be the case, right? Like, maybe, again, pulling up that same chart earlier, right? This is the funny part, but it's like when we decide to sell, this is like the chart will just pump. This is like what we're laughing at right here. This is my boy West, where it's like when we get bearish, that's when we start seeing pumps. When they started getting bearish for Pulse Nation and all that good stuff, we started seeing some pumps in the ecosystem. That was also around the same time that, we actually saw some decreases coming from the incentive token. That was when you saw 95% of the HEX being staked. That was when you saw a whole bunch of this data as well, kind of all coming into existence. Now, at this point, to be fair, we're still going up in the amount of tokens that are actually, or the amount of holders that are actually here right now, right? If you look at the daily active holders, we did in fact do a pretty decrease over here, right? Like we were back over here. And let me just kind of move my head just a little bit, but you were back over here. We're almost getting up to like 20,000 daily active wallets per day over here. This is back in February 4th, and now we're back down to the 11K range, which is basically what we've been at over here, right? This is kind of like a 11K is almost like a floor at this point, so you can kind of see how that could end up playing out. But we are still kind of moving toward a upward trajectory right now. Like if I was to draw a particular line right here for maybe a trend line, just so you can kind of see, like this is a particular line right now. You can kind of see that trend line. You can see what we were doing all the way back here. Now, if you were to look at the time frame, you can see by this time in August, even up to the December time frame when the trend line was going up, we were doing pretty damn good on price. If you remember, the prices were going pretty damn crazy. Well, same thing's kind of happening over here from that August or September time frame over here to that November time frame, December time frame over here. So, guys, we're still on a bullish trend line right now, but yeah, I mean, we're gonna have some setbacks, and we're still burning more pulse than we're issuing right now, which is good because it's almost considered almost a deflationary token right now. PulseX is in fact deflationary as well. If you just go to gopulse.com, you can see so far there's been roughly about 1.28 trillion tokens burned overall, which is again 6.4% of the supply. So that's a pretty damn good number. $1.2 trillion, roughly about $45 million at today's current price. And this is just kind of like where things are kind of like heading and where they're going and what we can expect possibly going forward as well. So just kind of like sharing that information, and it is what it is. We'll end up seeing how it's all going to end up playing out as well. You can see the market cap over here. Yeah, the market cap still not being fully reflected even on this particular site over here, because again, this market cap is showing $1.2 billion. And we just looked at the eHex market cap, or the Pulse Chain Hex market cap, and it was around 380 million. So again, just like all these numbers, every single time something changes, all of it kind of has to end up kind of working its way back, which is why I think Hex in the long run is going to still do very well. Even Ethereum Hex is still going to do very well. So we're going to end up seeing kind of what ends up being the case overall and seeing how it all ends up playing out for sure. He's prepping to get arrested for streaking. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, dude. He's said it so many times. Like when we actually do run up, you're going to find him face down in the river somewhere. Like, he's going to have all the fun in the world, and he's going to live his best life for sure. I saw Rabby Wallet will add a Pulse Bridge in the app. Oh, that's cool. I enjoy Rabby Wallet in general. That's an awesome wallet for sure. Definitely put the pretzels in the chat for my boy Wes. Negative emission is a power concept and an incredible mechanism for sure. Yeah, guys, always good to see everybody. But I wanted to just kind of share this video. I wanted to say that like we are sitting right now in this kind of like in a bear trap right now. We're pulling up in the area where we're kind of on the precipice of something happening. If Bitcoin breaks below 90K and really actually breaks below 90K, well, we got more down to go. Unfortunately, that's the downside to what we're looking at. If Bitcoin can just really start breaking out above the 110K range, then we really start kind of rallying toward the upside. If Ethereum can get out of this damn downward trend that we've been on since December, right, then we can actually really start kicking things up at this point in time and really break above $3,000. And not only just break above, but like break the fuck out of $3,000. Get us past $3,000, you know what I mean? Get us above the 55 EMA, which is, or 55 MA, which is roughly around $3,100, somewhere in that ballpark. Get us above that line, really start holding that level of support. flipping it there. Get the Bitcoin dominance to really start going down again, right? We are seeing the Bitcoin dominance start to pick back up. We want to see that sucker go down. We want to see the dollar index go down. We want to see the others dominance go up. We want to start seeing this kind of stuff. And until we really start seeing this kind of stuff, well, this is just kind of what the market is showing us right now. And until we really start flipping on this, we are in this little sideways parallel boring channel. Just don't get washed away and don't get bored too soon. Guys, there's so much to be said that I love every single one of y'all. I just want to get a quick stream out today, have some fun. It is Wednesday, my guys. I hope all of y'all do have a fantastic weekend, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Bye. Bye.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain, I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints, money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague, we all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name, all our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be.